The champagne in my glass had gone flat, much like my dreams for the future. I sat alone at what should have been my rehearsal dinner, watching my sister Jessica twirl across the dance floor with Michael, my fiancé, or rather my ex-fiancé as of 20 minutes ago. I've always loved her, he confessed, not even having the decency to look ashamed. Jessica and we've been seeing each other for months. I'm sorry, James, but you have to understand, she's a doctor. She has ambition. We just make more sense together. My parents sat at the head table. Mom dabbed at non-existent tears while Dad studied his wine glass with intense concentration. They weren't surprised, of course they weren't. They'd probably known all along. Maybe it's for the best, Mom had said earlier, patting my hand with fake sympathy. Jessica deserves someone like Michael. A doctor needs to be with someone who understands her world. Nada, she paused, wrinkling her nose slightly. Mechanic. I'd spent years building my auto repair business from the ground up, turning a small garage into a respected establishment. But in their eyes, I was still just a grease monkey, while Jessica was their precious doctor daughter who could do no wrong. The waiters were starting to clear plates, casting concerned glances my way. Most of the other guests had left, unable to handle the awkwardness of a rehearsal dinner turned disaster. Only family remained, my parents, Jessica, Michael, and me. The fool who hadn't seen this coming. James, Jessica called out, her voice sweet with fake concern. Don't be dramatic. These things happen. And really, did you think someone like Michael would be happy with someone like you forever? I stood up slowly, my chair scraping against the floor. The sound echoed in the nearly empty restaurant. Someone like me? Oh, you know what I mean, she said, waving her hand dismissively. You're simple. Content with your little garage. Michael needs someone who can challenge him intellectually. Dad cleared his throat. Jessica, perhaps this isn't the time. No, let her continue, I interrupted, my voice eerily calm. Let's hear exactly what my sister thinks about me. Jessica sighed dramatically. Look, it's not your fault. We just come from different worlds. Michael and I discuss medical journals, attend conferences, plan research projects. What could you possibly offer him? Conversations about oil changes. My parents shifted uncomfortably but said nothing. They never did when Jessica was tearing me down. I looked at Michael, the man I thought I'd spend my life with. And you? Is that how you see me too? Simple. Beneath you? He at least had the grace to look uncomfortable. James, it's not like that. Jessica and I share goals, ambitions. You're content with your garage, and that's fine. But I want more. I laughed then, a hollow sound that made them all flinch. My garage. You mean the business that paid for your medical school loans? The one that funded your research projects when no one else would? That garage? The color drained from his face. Jessica's smug smile faltered slightly. What are you talking about? Mom asked, finally showing interest. I pulled out my phone and opened my banking app. Let's see, $150,000 for Michael's medical school loans. Another $75,000 for his research funding last year. Oh, and let's not forget the $50,000 I gave Jessica for her emergency when she nearly lost her medical license for prescribing herself medication. The silence was deafening. My parents stared at me, then at Jessica and Michael, who suddenly couldn't meet anyone's eyes. That's impossible, Dad stammered. You're just a mechanic. Just a mechanic who owns the largest independent auto repair chain in 3 states, I corrected. But you wouldn't know that, would you? Because you never asked. Never cared. Too busy fawning over your doctor daughter and her perfect life. Jessica stepped forward, her confidence returning. James, don't be petty. So you helped us out a bit. That's what family does. Family? I stood up straighter. Family doesn't seduce their siblings' fiancé. Family doesn't spend years tearing down their child's achievements. Family shows up. I turned to my parents. Did you know Jessica was about to lose her license? Did you know Michael was drowning in debt? No, because they only came to me, the simple mechanic with deep pockets. Mom reached for my hand. Sweetheart, we didn't know. I pulled away. You never wanted to know. It was easier to believe your narrative. Successful doctor daughter and her loser brother who works with cars. I pulled out another phone, my business phone, and made a call. Sarah? Execute Protocol 0. Yes, all accounts, effective immediately. Jessica's face went pale. What are you doing? Calling in my loans, I said simply. All of them. Effective immediately. The money you borrowed for your malpractice insurance, your condo, your car. I want it all back. Within 30 days, as per the contracts you signed. Michael started to speak, but I cut him off. Same goes for you. Every penny I invested in your research, every loan I covered, due in full 30 days. You can't do this. Jessica shrieked. We don't have that kind of money. Not my problem. You should have thought about that before deciding I was beneath you. Dad stood up, his face red. Now see here, son. You can't just. I can, and I will. I interrupted. And while we're at it, the money I've been giving you and Mom every month, that's done too. Time to live within your means. Mom gasped. What money? We never. The $5,000 monthly deposits into your account? Where did you think that came from? Your pension barely covers your golf club membership. The truth hit them like a physical blow. All these years that they'd been living off my success while looking down on me. I grabbed my jacket and headed for the door, pausing only to leave my credit card with a maitre d'. Charge everything to me. Consider it my last act of family obligation. James, please, Jessica called out, her voice trembling. We can talk about this. I turned back one last time. You know what's funny? I actually thought we were family. That despite everything, blood meant something. Thank you for showing me how wrong I was. As I walked out into the cool evening air, my phone started buzzing with messages. I blocked them all without reading. 10 years I'd spent building my business, becoming successful, all while letting them treat me like I was nothing. Well, now they'd learn exactly what nothing felt like. The next morning, I walked into my main office building, a modern glass and steel structure that employed over 200 people. My assistant, Sarah, was waiting with a stack of papers. It's all done, she said quietly. All loans called in, all automatic payments stopped. Are you sure about this? I looked at the framed photo on my desk, me at 19, standing in front of my first garage. I'd been so proud, so hopeful. That kid never imagined his own family would betray him like this. Yes, I said firmly. It's time they learned what life is like without their safety net. Sarah nodded. Your sister's already called 6 times. Your parents too. What should I tell them? Nothing. They're no longer family. They're just debtors who owe me money. I spent the morning in meetings reviewing expansion plans for my business. We were about to open locations in 2 more states, but my family never knew that. They'd never asked. Around noon, Jessica showed up at the office. She'd been crying. Her mascara was smeared, her usually perfect hair disheveled. Security is on their way, Sarah informed me through the intercom. Let her in, I said. One last conversation. Jessica burst into my office, looking around in obvious surprise at the size and luxury of it. James, you have to stop this. Michael's research funding is being reviewed. The hospital is asking questions. I can't pay my mortgage without your help. I leaned back in my chair. Fascinating how quickly simple me became so important. I'm sorry, she cried. I was jealous, okay. You've been succeeding while I've been drowning in debt and mistakes. It wasn't fair. Jealous? I stood up slowly. You seduced my fiancé, humiliated me in front of our family, and spent years making me feel worthless because you were jealous? She collapsed into a chair, sobbing. I didn't mean for it to go this far. Michael and I. It just happened. And then it spiraled, and get out. She looked up, startled. What? Get out of my office. You have 29 days to repay everything you owe me. After that, my lawyers take over. But I'm your sister. No, I said calmly. You're just another person who took advantage of me. The difference is, you did it while claiming to be family. As security escorted her out, I turned to look out my office window. Below, my newest line of luxury cars waited for delivery to their respective showrooms, another expansion my family knew nothing about. My phone buzzed, Mom calling again. I declined the call and sent a text. All communication goes through my lawyers from now on. Goodbye. Then I turned back to my work, ready to focus on the empire I'd built, the one they'd never bothered to notice until it was too late. 2 months after the rehearsal dinner disaster, the consequences of my decision rippled through my family like aftershocks from an earthquake. My lawyers had been busy enforcing loan repayments, and the results were exactly what I'd expected. Jessica lost her condo and was forced to move into a small apartment on the outskirts of town. Michael's research funding was pulled when the hospital discovered it had come from personal loans rather than legitimate grants. His career was teetering on the edge of ruin. I learned all this not from them directly, but from the desperate letters their lawyers sent to mine, begging for extensions, payment plans, anything to stop the inevitable collapse of their carefully constructed facades. My parents' situation wasn't much better. Without my monthly deposits, they had to give up their country club membership, sell their luxury car, and face the reality that their retirement fund was nearly depleted. Mr. Anderson, my assistant Sarah, interrupted one morning. Your mother's in the lobby again, third time this week. I glanced at the security feed on my computer. Mom stood there, clutching her designer handbag, probably one of her last remaining luxuries. She looked smaller somehow, less polished than she used to be. Let her wait, I said, turning back to my work. She'll leave eventually. But she didn't leave. Hours passed, and she remained stationed in the lobby, watching people come and go. Finally, at 6 p.m., I decided to end it. Send her up, I told Sarah. Let's finish this. Mom practically ran into my office, her eyes wide as she took in the expensive furnishings, the wall of awards, the view of the city, all the success she'd never bothered to notice before. James, she started, her voice trembling. We need to talk. About what? I kept my voice neutral, continuing to type on my computer. The money you owe me. Talk to my lawyers. About family, she burst out. About how everything's fallen apart. Jessica's living in some horrible apartment. Your father's had to go back to work, and Michael. Michael? I finally looked up. You're here to plead his case too. She faltered. He's East Gamley now, or he was supposed to be. I laughed coldly. Right, the son you always wanted but never got. How's that working out for you now? James, please, we made mistakes. Terrible mistakes, but we're still your parents. No, I corrected her. You're people who gave birth to me, then spent years making me feel inferior while secretly living off my success. There's a difference. She sank into a chair, her carefully maintained composure cracking. Jessica's talking about moving away. She can't handle the shame, the gossip. Everyone knows what happened. Good, I said simply. Let her run, but her debt follows her wherever she goes. She's your sister. Was my sister, I corrected. Now she's just another person who betrayed me. Like you, like Dad, like Michael. Mom pulled out a tissue, gabbing at her eyes. What do you want from us? An apology? Fine, I'm sorry. We're all sorry. I stood up, walking to the window. Below, I could see workers installing the sign for my newest acquisition, a luxury car dealership. You're not sorry for what you did. You're sorry for the consequences. There's a difference. That's not true. Really? I turned back to face her. If I wrote a check right now, covering all your debts and returning everything to how it was, would you still be sorry? Or would you go right back to treating me like the embarrassing son who works with cars? Her silence was answer enough. That's what I thought, I said quietly. You know what the funny thing is? All those years I kept trying to prove myself to you. Kept hoping that maybe if I was successful enough, rich enough, you'd finally see me as worthy as Jessica. But now I realize your approval means nothing to me anymore. We're your parents, she whispered. You can't just erase us from your life. Watch me. I pressed the intercom. Sarah, please escort Mrs. Anderson out and update security. She's no longer allowed in the building. James, wait. I sat back down, already focusing on my computer screen. Goodbye, Mom. Don't come back. As security led her out, I could hear her crying, begging for another chance. But her tears meant nothing to me now. I cried enough on my own over the years, trying to earn love that should have been unconditional. That evening, I received an email from Jessica. The subject line read, I know I don't deserve forgiveness. I almost deleted it without reading, but curiosity got the better of me. Dear James, Michael left me. He said he can't handle the scandal or the career setbacks. Funny how quickly true love falls apart when money's involved. I know I can never make up for what I did. I destroyed your happiness out of jealousy and spite. You were always the better person, the stronger one. I just couldn't stand living in the shadow of your quiet success. I'm moving to Seattle next week. Don't worry, I'm still paying back every cent I owe you. It's the least I can do. I hope someday you can forgive me, though I know I don't deserve it. Jessica. I closed the email without responding. Her words meant nothing, just another manipulation, another attempt to escape the consequences of her actions. Later that night, as I walked through my empty penthouse apartment, I realized something. The silence that once felt lonely now felt like peace. I didn't need their validation anymore. I didn't need their love or approval. I was finally free. 5 years passed like turning pages in a book. My business expanded into a national enterprise, with chains across 30 states. The irony wasn't lost on me. The simple mechanic had built an empire, while the successful doctor and her perfect fiancé had scattered to the winds. I heard snippets about them through the grapevine. Jessica was working at a small clinic in Seattle, living paycheck to paycheck while still making payments on her debt to me. Michael's research career never recovered. Last I heard, he was teaching at a community college in Nevada. My parents had downsized to a small condo. Retirement wasn't quite as golden as they planned. Dad had taken a job as a consultant, though at his age, the work was sporadic at best. I was reviewing acquisition papers for my newest venture, a chain of luxury car dealerships in Europe, when Sarah buzzed my intercom. "Mr. Anderson, there's a delivery for you. From your father." I frowned. Security cleared it. "Yes, sir. It's just a box of old photographs and your high school diploma." Curiosity got the better of me. "Send it up." The box was small, worn at the edges. Inside, beneath my diploma, lay photographs I hadn't seen in years. Me at 16, covered in grease but grinning proudly beside my first restored car. Jessica and me as kids, before ambition and jealousy drove us apart. A family photo from my high school graduation, the last time we genuinely looked happy together. A note sat at the bottom. "Son, found these while cleaning out the storage unit. We can't afford to keep it anymore. Thought you might want these before they get thrown away. These remind me of when I was still a father, not just a fool who lost his son." Dad. I should have thrown it all away, should have sent it back unopened. Instead, I found myself staring at that teenage version of me, so full of dreams and determination. The kid who thought family meant something. My phone rang. An unknown Seattle number. "Hello? James?" Jessica's voice, smaller than I remembered. "Please don't hang up." I should have, but something in her tone made me pause. "I'm getting married," she said quickly, as if afraid I'd cut her off. "To a kindergarten teacher. He's nothing like Michael. Nothing like who I used to be." "Congratulations," I said flatly. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because he knows everything. About what I did to you. About the debt I'm still paying off. And he loves me anyway." She paused. "He said I should invite you to the wedding. Not as a gesture or manipulation, but because healing has to start somewhere." I laughed humorlessly. "Healing? You think a wedding invitation fixes what you did?" "No," she said softly. "Nothing fixes that. But I'm not that person anymore. 5 years of working in a free clinic, living with my mistakes, paying back not just the money but the karma. It changes you." "People don't change," I said, but even I heard the uncertainty in my voice. "They do when they lose everything that made them horrible in the first place." She took a deep breath. "It's a small ceremony. Just at the courthouse. No fancy parties, no rehearsal dinners. Just truth and hope." I looked at the photo on my desk. Teenage me, covered in grease and dreams. "I'll think about it." "That's more than I deserved," she said quietly. "Thank you." After hanging up, I sat in my office for a long time, staring at that box of memories. Sarah came in with contracts needing my signature, took one look at my face, and silently cleared my schedule for the rest of the day. I pulled out my laptop and did something I hadn't done in 5 years. I looked up my parents' address. The condo complex was modest, nothing like their old house. Recent photos showed Dad leaving for work, his hair now completely gray. Mom volunteering at a local food bank, the same one she used to organize charity galas for. People do change, Jessica had said, but do they change because they want to, or because they have no choice? My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Your sister told me she called you. I'm the kindergarten teacher. Just wanted you to know she cries every time she makes a payment to you. Not because of the money, but because each check reminds her of what she lost. A brother's love is worth more than any debt." I stared at the message for a long time. Then I did something I hadn't done in years. I cried. Not for them, not for what they'd done, but for that grease-covered teenager who just wanted his family to be proud of him. Sarah found me like that, surrounded by old photos and dried tears. "Should I cancel your flight to London next week?" she asked quietly. I looked at the wedding invitation Jessica had emailed. Seattle, same day as my London meetings. "No," I said finally, "but book me a return flight through Seattle. Maybe it's time to see if people really can change." "And your parents?" I picked up the photo of teenage me. "Tell my lawyers to draw up new payment plans, more reasonable ones. Not because they deserve it, but because that kid in the photo deserved better than carrying hatred for the rest of his life." Sarah smiled, the first time I'd seen her approve of anything involving my family in 5 years. Sometimes the strongest person is the one who gives others a chance to be better. I nodded, putting the photo back in the box. Not forgiveness. Not yet. But maybe a beginning. The Seattle courthouse was smaller than I expected. No grand entrance, no elaborate decorations, just a simple building where people came to make promises they hoped to keep. I stood across the street, watching Jessica arrive in a simple white dress, holding hands with a man who looked nothing like Michael. Thomas, the kindergarten teacher, wore a blue suit that had seen better days, but his smile when he looked at my sister was worth more than any designer label. They hadn't seen me yet. I could still leave, fly to London, and continue my life without them. But that box of photographs weighed heavily on my mind. James, my mother's voice, tentative and unsure, so different from her once commanding tone. We didn't know he'd come. I turned to face my parents. Dad looked older, his consultant's suit slightly worn at the edges. Mom's designer handbag was gone, replaced by something practical and unbranded. "I almost didn't," I answered honestly. "We would have deserved that," Dad said quietly. "We deserved everything that happened." Before I could respond, Jessica spotted me. She froze on the courthouse steps, her hand tightening on Thomas's arm. Even from here, I could see tears forming in her eyes. I walked toward them slowly, each step carrying the weight of 5 years of anger, hurt, and maybe, just maybe, the possibility of something new. "You came," Jessica whispered. "I'm not staying," I said firmly. "I have a flight to London in 3 hours." "But," I pulled an envelope from my jacket. "This is for you, both of you." Thomas took the envelope, his kind eyes showing understanding beyond his years. Inside was a letter from my lawyers, all remaining debts forgiven. "James, no," Jessica started, but I held up my hand. "I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing it for me. Carrying this anger, making you pay forever. It was turning me into someone I don't want to be." "Thank you," Thomas said simply, and in those 2 words, I heard more genuine gratitude than in all my family's previous apologies combined. "Be good to her," I told him. "She's learning how to be better." Mom stepped forward hesitantly. "Does this mean? Are we?" "No," I said gently. "We're not back to being family. Not yet. Maybe not ever. But we don't have to be enemies anymore either." Dad nodded, understanding in his tired eyes. "That's more than we deserve." "You're right," I agreed. "But that teenager in the photographs, he deserved to let go of this weight, so I'm doing it for him." The courthouse clerk called Jessica's name. It was time for her ceremony. "Will you?" She paused, gathering courage. "Will you stay? Just for the ceremony?" I checked my watch. My flight could wait. "Yes. But I'm not signing as a witness. I'm just here to watch." The ceremony was brief, simple, honest, everything the rehearsal dinner 5 years ago wasn't. When Thomas and Jessica kissed, their joy was real, unbound by expectations or pretense. Afterward, as they prepared to leave for their modest reception at a local restaurant, Jessica hugged me. I didn't hug back, but I didn't push her away either. "Be happy," I told her. "Not because you have everything, but because you learn to be content with what you deserve." She nodded, tears streaming down her face. I turned to my parents, the new payment plans my lawyers sent. "They're final. Make the most of the second chance." "We will," Mom promised, and for once I believed her. As I walked away, Thomas caught up with me. "You know," he said, "in my kindergarten class, we have this saying, sometimes the biggest grown-up is the one who knows when to let go." I smiled slightly. Take care of them. They're still learning how to be real people. My driver was waiting to take me to the airport. As we pulled away, I watched my family in the rearview mirror, smaller now, humbler, but maybe just maybe better. Sarah texted. London office confirmed the delay. How are you? I thought about the teenager in those photographs, the one who dreamed of making his family proud. He didn't know then that sometimes the proudest moment comes not from what you achieve, but from what you're willing to let go. I'm good, I texted back. For the first time in 5 years, I'm really good.